What's up, guys? Moto Monday number 136, and this is going to be a call-in episode. We're going to have it with Curtis Paulson. Curtis Paulson, friend of mine, been around the sport for a few years. He's done a few things. You guys might have seen him at maybe Washougal as an announcer, or maybe at the PRO series as a starter. Or, I guess, if you're in this immediate area, around Vancouver, or Portland-ish area, you might have seen him in a band. He's a guy who has a lot of fun with life, and I was looking forward to this one, and I'm glad I got to do at least a call into him. But I'm thinking in the future we need to get a announcer-only show going, where we basically get 3 to 6 motocross announcers from the Pacific Northwest all at a table, hang out, and chat. We'll go all night, guaranteed, but I think it'd be a lot of fun. Drop in the comments what you guys think, either on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Patreon, wherever. Drop in the comments what you think of that. And without further ado, let's talk to Curtis Paulson. Hey, Curtis.
Yeah,
Hey, can you hear me okay?
yeah, sound good.
All right, right on. I had to set a few things up here, and since we're apparently in the 2021 Snowmageddon, I also lost internet today. But we're back up and going. So, it's you just got to adapt with what gets thrown your way.
Yeah.
So how we doing?
Yeah, we're doing good. A little bit of Mother Nature throwing us a curve here, but just sit back and enjoy it and watch it melt.
Yeah, for people who aren't in our immediate area, we're dealing with just a little bit of snow. And by little bit, meaning this morning I had 13 inches, and we don't really get that. We don't really get that around here, the Montana people probably laugh at us, but
Yeah.
this is a lot for us.
Yeah, I think we had about 10 inches here. Fortunately, we never lost power, so we got to enjoy, another good Supercross last night. But, my heart goes out to those that have lost power, especially over in Clackamas County, Oregon City area, where the ice has been really bad.
Yeah, most of us are not really prepared for this around here. But hey, Supercross, let's talk about that for a minute. I've been rather enjoying the Supercross season. I've been seeing a lot of complaining online, but I've been kind of enjoying it. What do you think?
Well, if you follow me on Facebook at all, we went down and watched the first two in Houston live, which was neat to kind of feel back to normal. Texas is a fairly open state. All the restaurants and bars were open, and the Arena Energy Park is a fantastic venue for watching Supercross. They had reduced capacity, so you could buy tickets in blocks of 4, 6, or 8, and then the seating in front of you, the whole row was empty, and the row directly behind you was empty. So I'd say in the stadium there was maybe 15,000 people at the most, because it was just a lower bowl.
Okay. What was different other than the spacing out of the seating? Was there? I mean, did they have vendors? Did they have all the normal stuff you would expect at a Supercross? Because I talked to Devin Harriman a couple days ago, and he said Supercross has been pretty different for him. They don't do the tech inspections really so much in person, and it sounded different. You know what I mean? But going and viewing it, other than the spacing out of the seating, what was different?
They had all the vendors were there. They asked that you wear a mask if you were going to go to a vendor or a food area.
Okay.
They had the party in the pits was open, and when you went in there wasn't a lot of people in there, but it's because, the reduced capacity they were allowing, you had to have a ticket to go to the actual race to get into the party in the pit. And they had the Harley bike show where they were kind of trying to do flat track with them, do wheelies, burn tires off, and then they had what great interest to you, they had the pit bike track in the middle of the pit area.
Yeah. Okay.
And they would run those pit bikes, so I know you would have been down for that. You probably could have smoked half of them.
I'm glad they got that going. What was the vibes like? Did the vibes feel kind of weird or off, or was it just like another Supercross race and people stoked?
Well, it was, definitely different because of the reduced capacity. But, Monster had their big thing, and you could go in and get free Monsters. Fly had their big display, so you could check out their new gear. And no lines, basically. And, they had the Alpenstars booth was there, and they were doing their their buttons like they usually do. And, Oakley sunglasses was there, Oakley goggles, and so you could talk to people, about all the cool stuff they had, and they had all the stuff marked of what can be used for RX lenses now. So for those of us that wear glasses, it's kind of nice to be able to get a cool looking pair of sunglasses.
Oh, right on. So
So
would you
as we
say?
kept walking.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
As we kept walking around the pits, we got to where the privateers were parked. And so, I got to talk to Max Miller a little bit and talk to Devin Harriman's dad, Carl, saw his sister. And it was different than past parties in the pits just because of the reduced entry of how many people were in there. But, you could still see the factory bikes. Of course, you didn't get to meet any of the riders. You could see them. They would be there in their pit area, and, you could see them on an exercise bike or something. But they weren't going to come up and sign an autograph for you or anything.
Gotcha. Okay. So you had a little bit more of a space between you and the riders throughout the whole thing.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, but would you say still a good time?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we've been to Energy Park before, and it's a great stadium. They got their food court on the outside of the stadium, on the outer ring, I guess, of the stadium, so that there's no problem getting in to find your seat and what have you.
Yep.
And, so all the, people that are getting food, they're not clogging up the entryways to get down into the arena. And during practice and the timing section of it, you could just go walk around and sit anywhere you wanted, at the finish line, or, you could just walk around. They were, the security was pretty cool about that. And then, once the racing, you didn't have to wear a mask at your, once you were seated. And so, once the racing started, it felt pretty much like a, regular event. People were cheering for their favorite riders. They did the, the fireworks and all that, just like they normally do. And, they introduced the top 10, 450 riders. So it was pretty much like a normal event, just with less people.
Okay, gotcha. So it was still definitely worth the trip and good time, right?
Oh, absolutely. To be able to attend two of them like that, I almost wish they would do Saturday and Tuesday events. It makes it, going somewhere to see it. I mean, you get double the racing that way. So to me, I thought it was fantastic.
I'm bummed out we really don't have anything on the West Coast. Like, there's no Supercross for us.
Not unless you want to go to Salt Lake City and call that West Coast.
That's kind of a stretch. I'm sorry. That's not West Coast. I'm glad they have it going. It's definitely weird this year, COVID and all that, and mixing up what is considered East Coast and West Coast, the Tuesdays and Saturdays and all that. But I'm at least glad they're doing it. You know what I mean? Like, it's going, it's happening. We got to adapt, I guess, at this point. But I'm glad they're at least doing it. So I'm trying to not complain too much because I still get to watch Supercross on TV.
Yeah. Well, all the major sports are figuring out a way to make it happen. The NFL figured out a way to have the Super Bowl, which was, fantastic. And if you watched it on TV, it was probably just like watching any Super Bowl on TV, except for maybe you didn't have 50 people over at your house to do it. And so I think in that regard, NASCAR figured out how to have the Daytona yesterday amid the rain. But, I think it's just, they adapted last year when they had the last 7 rounds of Supercross all in one stadium, which was probably a lot cheaper for the teams. They didn't have to travel anywhere.
True. This is true. Downside being that I bet they didn't travel much to go see their family, but overall, they made it happen, and they were able to do it. So all the riders and the promoters were able to fulfill their contract obligations, which is important. And I'm glad they at least finished rather than canceling it, which would have been a huge bummer. I mean, that would have just been such a bummer if they would sorry, we're not going to have half the series now. So they're figuring it out. They're making it happen, and I think that's what all the local promoters are going to be doing this year, just kind of figuring it out as they go. Well, local meaning all small-time promoters. Everything from all our local tracks, which, I've been slowly seeing some of the schedules come out. I've been seeing some stuff pop up. I saw Old Timers release their schedule. Are you going to be? Yeah, so you're an announcer as well. Are you going to be doing any events this year? You got anything planned?
I would like to. Just it depends on work schedule. Boise's always a fun track. For me, the favorite track, Washougal, of course, and then the BC race up in Canada. But if they don't open up the Canadian border, we might miss a whole nother year of racing up there. And I really do miss that event. Agassiz is not that far over the border, about 45, 50 minutes, right at Harrison Hot Springs, which is a big resort area. So it's a beautiful place to go, especially the first weekend of August.
I know. I hope they open it up because Canada they're just kind of stickler on things. I feel like they don't really like us Americans coming up there. Because now I will say as a caveat, I don't have anything on my record, but I've heard of people having infractions on their record and the Canadians are just, nah, sorry. And then when COVID hit, it's really hard to get in there. And I have another, just to give them a little leeway, I have another friend who lives in New Zealand, and he wasn't able to go home until he did, it was like 4 weeks, I believe, of, what do they call it? Basically, quarantine type thing? Yeah.
Yeah.
He lives in New Zealand. He comes here to work, but his own country, they made him do that too. So yeah, some of these countries, they make it a little tough. And Canada, yeah, and Canada's beautiful. I love going there. And actually, a goal of mine is to go through, and I wanted to make like a 2-week tour of riding or racing a bunch of tracks up there because they have some beautiful tracks.
Oh yeah, they do. Kamloops has a really nice track.
That is number one on my list. Is Kamloops.
Yeah. A couple of years ago, I did the Canadian Double, where you go up and you do the BC Old Timer race, and then the following weekend, you make it all the way to Alberta, to Edmonton, and you do the race there. So that was a fun trip, and we got to see some awesome scenery. The Canadian Rockies, Banff, Lake Louise, all the ones that you read about and see stories on. It's so cool to go see them in person.
Yeah, their tracks are just beautiful. So have you ridden Kamloops?
I have not ridden Kamloops. The old timer race that the BC Club has theirs in Agassiz, which is a fun track. Back in the day, McGrath did some Honda commercials there. So people that the first time they get there, if they go, oh man, this looks familiar, it's because Honda filmed some commercials there back in the Jeremy McGrath era. And then the Edmonton track is in Antler Lake, and there's also a track in Edmonton or in Calgary that's right in town. When you go off the jumps, you see the skyline of downtown Calgary. So they had the race there one year, and that track is really close to Blackfoot Honda, which was a pretty big name up in Canada in Supercross. I think they even sponsored one of the Canadians that came down and rode the Supercross in the U.S. a few years ago.
Yeah, that was a big name there for a while. And I've seen pictures of that track, but I've never ridden it. I've been to Canada, but I've never actually got to ride a track. So every time I've gone to Canada, and sadly, I can say the same about California, I've never brought a bike with me.
You
I
got to. It's
I
a
need to fix
bucket list
this.
item. You got to get it done.
I know. I got to fix this. Cam loops has to be number one on my list, though. Cam loops, that track looks amazing. I want to race there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But almost every Canadian like national caliber track, you see the photos and it's pretty impressive. I don't know what it is about them, or it's just, man, all the tracks look beautiful up there. So I gotta
Well,
get it done. I'm slacking.
yep. You got to do it. You got to get that on the list, and you got to kind of hope and things get somewhat back to a semblance of normal, and they open that northern border. I don't know. Seems to be no problem in having the border open to Mexico because people have been going down there vacationing left and right. So I don't know what the problem is. Let's get that northern border open and get the motocross going back and forth. Washougal is scheduled to have their national in into July there, and I know a lot of Canadians like to come down and be a part of that, and also the Old Timer Weekend a couple of weeks before. So, and it's called International Old Timer Series, and we kind of need those Canadians down here to help with that international part.
You know what we need is to get a Mexican race.
We do.
That's actually, it's not a bad idea. I don't know of any tracks that are somewhat near the border, but that could make it fun. Because, yeah, we're having no problem go down to Mexico. I have lots of friends who've been traveling down and vacationing down in Mexico. I mean, no problems at all. So maybe we need to find a Mexican track.
And a promoter to do it.
Yeah, well, don't look at me. I don't really know much about Mexican motocross, but wasn't there a big supercross that used to be down there? Like a one-off event?
Well, I know that they're more known for their off-road stuff
Yes,
with the
definitely.
Baja and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Um, I'm not sure if they had it seems like Travis Pastrana and his crew did something in Mexico City at the big stadium there, but I don't know if they've actually had like a U.S. style Supercross event there.
So I'm looking it up right now because now I'm curious, but well, Supercross.com says there's going to be a race announced down there.
Oh, there you go.
Interesting. But I got a 404 when I clicked on the link. I just seem to remember back in the day, like maybe early 2000s, there was a big race down there. I feel like a bunch of people went and did because, I mean, obviously we have Baja and they have some big off-road events and that's really big, but I thought there was a big Supercross that some people were going down and doing. I just don't remember the name of it. And see, now I'm going down a rabbit hole. I'll look this up later. But that's my problem. I go down rabbit holes. But that could be fun. Maybe old timers do Canada and Mexico.
There you go.
What are you going to be doing with the old timers this year?
Well, I had a long time association with the Oregon Old Timers. I started with them back in the mid-'90s and kind of carried on through till just the last couple of years when Bill and Robin kind of took the reins and kind of took the club in another direction, and which has been good. They've got merchandising stuff going. We've got dealerships involved in sponsorship and helping us maintain the level of interest in the event and trying to reach other people that normally wouldn't participate. So it's been good. I think it's always tough to have change, but I think change has been good.
Yeah, it's now, I'm on the younger side. I've only been eligible to race the support class of old timers for just, a few years now. events, but I really enjoy the vibes of the old timers race. You know, you go to a motocross race, and a lot of times you can feel that tension. You know, and you go to an old timers motocross race, and it's not the same. People seem to be a little more laid back. They seem to be having a good time, enjoying themselves, maybe talking to their fellow racer a little more, and I really like that vibe. And that's what gets me excited about old timer events is it just to me seems a little more fun, you know? It's like pit bikes for me. It's people seem to be having more fun even though they're going there out there and racing against hundreds and hundreds of other people.
Yeah, I think it kind of is like your pit bike thing. You have people that once they get a taste of old timer racing with the longer motos and the 3 moto format on Saturday, it gets addictive because you get plenty of track time. And if you don't, you can be like some of the crazy Albertans that come down and sign up for 2 classes. We've had those guys come down and they'll sign up for 40A and 30A. And so that's a lot of track time. But if you're going to drive that far, you might as well make the best of it, especially, on the national track at Washougal.
Oh, if you're going to drive to a whole nother country, and make that trip down, yeah, I mean, I'd probably do the same thing, even though I am not very well conditioned to do long motos. I would probably go try to get as much track time as possible, too. So, I get it. I like seeing all the 40-plus guys come down and think they can beat Ryan Huffman at Washougal.
Yeah, probably not. And
they think they can.
Surprisingly, Washougal probably wouldn't be Ryan's favorite track. If you get him to admit it, he really likes sand tracks. So, think of like Millville and Southwick. Ryan really likes those type of tracks. But, he is killer fast at Washougal without a doubt.
I don't care if he loves it or hates it. Like, he is a hard guy to beat at Washougal. And I've seen some people put in some really good efforts too, I've seen some guys with some good power behind their name show up and just can't figure out how to get him. He's fast. He's at Washougal. I mean, he's a good rider overall, right? I've said on the podcast, probably one of the more talented people I've ever seen ride a bike. And I don't know, he's in his 40s now, right? Mid-40s or so?
Yeah, a lot of natural talent.
He can still run with the local pros.
Oh, yeah.
He can still run with them just fine. And then you take the 40-plus pros, you're going to have a hard time beating Ryan at Washougal. All right, I mean, I saw him sweep up a bunch of wins at Albany. I mean, any track, but Washougal, I mean, it's his track. His family's name is behind it. And he's probably put in more laps there than majority of people. Tough guy to beat.
Very tough to beat at his home track. And, he's good at a lot of the local tracks around, too. I mean, he's a great jumper, so he always done well at PIR when I've been there and witnessed him riding there. And he's always done well over at Horn Rapids in Richland. He likes that track, too.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I forgot about that. He's pretty quick at Horn. And his son's going pretty quick these days, too. I've been watching him around. He came out and did a Riverdale race recently and going pretty good. So, yeah, there's a lot of history there with the Huffman family and a lot of good riders. I remember, what was his brother's name? Now I'm failing here. Help me here. Let's go back 20 years.
Rick, the one that worked at Motorsport Hillsboro, or actually it was Hillsboro Motorcycles back then, Gary Rowe's shop.
Gary Rowe's shop when Gary Rowe was the 24-hour champion, yes.
Yep.
Rick, may he rest in peace, but Rick showed me a lot of the fast lines around Washougal back when I was in high school. All the different, like, we'll go ahead and just cut, like the downhill ski jump. I learned the Huffman line where you just kind of jump off to the side and skip over the grass. Never did it. I watched it. I tried to figure it out, but I was too scared to ever try it. But yeah, even Rick, following him, I was like, I didn't even know any of these lines existed. It's a lot of fun though. It was a lot of fun. So, so I'm assuming you'll be out there this year for the old timers,
Oh, I plan to be for sure. Yeah.
and
We
you're gonna
just,
be racing.
it's nice to see a full schedule out. And if you don't have the schedule, pretty easy to find. Just look up the Washougal Facebook page or go to their website. And they've got a lot of events on there. I see the vintage races back on the schedule. Of course, the Dream Race, Joey Lancaster with the 125 Dream Race, and so most of the events are back on the schedule that you would normally see. So I'm hoping that it's just dirt bike sales have been crazy. Now we just need to get those folks to the track and get them riding. All those things have been good at your Riverdale series. You had 450 when the weather was nice to you a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, yeah. No, the numbers have been good. I think our lowest turnout is like 260, which is a good local moto race normally. Like that's a good day, and
Yeah.
that's our lowest number so far. So yeah, it's been good, and I don't think we've got good weather for a single round. I know Woodland, I've heard some of their numbers. I have yet to get out there this year, but Woodland's been doing just fine on numbers. People want to ride their dirt bikes. They want to ride. So I'd like to think this is going to carry over through the rest of the year, and we might have some good races as long as the tracks can open up. And, every state, every county, city has its own rules and regulations and stuff you have to work through, but if everyone can kind of work through them, I'd like to think this is a good sign of what's to come. I'd like to think. I try to stay positive.
Yeah, being positive is better than the alternative, of course. So I just I think Washougal really kind of set the tone on how it can be done, and other tracks followed suit. I know eventually they were able to get some practices in at the Thursday night motocross with the Wilders.
Mm-hmm.
And, I know they want to have like a full race season there, so I'm sure that they're working diligently behind the scenes to try to make that happen with whatever, Parks and Recreation's going to require of them. And so, I think slowly we're going to get to, it's tough when you see states having their high school sports and everything, and then other states not. So it makes you yearn for us to get back to, so that we can have those sort of things, the high school football, the high school basketball, high school baseball, volleyball, all those things. I mean, there's just, the kids need that.
Yes. And without getting into anything really COVID or political, I would like to see things start going back to normal. I'm about ready, and I like seeing the people who are pushing forward and trying to just make stuff happen. Especially, motocross. We're outdoors, we're out in the air, and I think it's good. Well, it's good for people. Any other ignore any local events and ignore COVID. I think racing motocross is good for you. It's it's a extremely tough workout. It requires focus. I think it's actually healthy for you. Look at the Veteran MX Foundation. They literally are using motocross as a form of therapy. It's good for you. It's good for you to go out and do. And
Absolutely.
I hope we can keep getting people into it and keep hopefully having events this year. And I was so bummed when we lost the Nationals in 2020. That was, especially when, what was it, less than a week's notice they canceled it?
Yeah, about 6 days.
Yeah, that bummed me out. It's like, no, really? And I know everybody out there was working their butts off to try to make it happen, and doing everything by the book, and still had it canceled. That bummed me out. So I hope we get it back this year. And I'm sending all the good juju I got up to Washougal to just, please, let's have a national this year. Come on. Please. I hope we have it.
Oh,
Because
it's on the schedule, and that's the best we can hope for right now. The outdoor national schedule has definitely changed. I think Glen Hangtown is like at the end of the schedule because it's in California, so that one's kind of a different one. But the usual tracks are there, and some new ones. And
I've given up on California. I am.
My fingers are crossed. That it'll get to happen, and it'll be just huge because a lot of people are going to want to come out, and now that we know the protocols we got to do and we know how to do it, we kind of got one under our belt now. So it just makes it easier from the staff side of it because you kind of know what to expect and what to do.
Yeah. So other than the Washougal Nationals, what are some events you're looking forward to this year?
Well, as you know, a couple of years ago, I got to be involved in my first dream race, up helping out with Joey and Megan and Rory and the rest of the kit and the rest of the crew up there. And the dream race is really a fun event. They had that bicycle thing on Friday night where they would run down through the whoops, and that was huge. I mean, they had a ton of people turn out for that. They had it split up by age groups, and there was even some 30-plus folks out there giving that a twirl on a bicycle. So that event's always fun. We've always tried to do neat stuff with the Oregon Old Timer event. We've had a live band a few times. So there's just a ton of fun events on the Washougal schedule. And, it's kind of become a sports destination. Joey has the UTV side-by-side track over there.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure that if somebody wanted to promote BMX bicycle racing, they would fix up the BMX track up there, and it could be a destination place for that.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, I forgot about the BMX track there. I forgot about that. Yeah. I've been telling Huffman for years, though, he needs a pit bike track. I'm just saying.
Well, there you go.
Well, maybe
a
that's
pit bike
something.
track and a BMX track are pretty similar, aren't they?
This is actually pretty true. So, maybe there could be an opportunity there. Hopefully he's listening. Just saying.
Yeah, maybe
got
it
my
could
number.
be a hybrid sort of track, But, the 1,000-pound elephant in the room that everybody wants to talk about is and this last week's weather proves it, we need an indoor arena.
Oh,
I mean,
I agree.
It's so tough that we lost, Salem, and we need an indoor arena. I mean, it just would be huge. Can you imagine if we could get the old Memorial Coliseum in Portland for 6 weeks of a winter series indoors? Oh, plenty of parking, no problem there.
Yep. Oh, it would be huge, and we don't have anything. Monroe got shut down. Salem got shut down. Clark County Arena Cross slash what is it? It was OT5 at the end.
OT5 at the end.
Yep. That unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be able to get back. I actually kind of nosed around a little bit. I don't think we're going to be able to get it back. We don't have an indoor facility right now, and if we could, put it anywhere in Washington or Oregon, and you're going to do good because, unfortunately, we get a lot of rain. Like, it is what it is. We get a lot of rain around here, so an indoor arena would be amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it would just be, you think of the other events you could have in it, too. You could have the RC cars in there. You could have, anything that is hampered by the weather would no longer be hampered by the weather. Or you could schedule something, and if, the weather didn't cooperate with your schedule, you could just move it indoors and still have your event.
Yeah. Yeah, I would. I've been in the talks with some people over the years of their ideas to put something in, and just unfortunately, nothing's ever came to fruition. But especially right now, it's February. We have this wet, slushy snow everywhere. It would sure be nice to have an indoor arena.
it would be, oh man, just it would be huge. I mean, you have a great area to draw from, and up and down, people up and down the I-5 corridor, and if you had it done right and scheduled it, like maybe you run the smaller bikes in the morning and then big bikes in the afternoon, so that you don't have to spend a whole day there if you don't want to. There's a lot of things that you could do schedule-wise, but if you had one big enough, I think, similar to the size of what Salem Arena Cross has been, I think it would just be, if you can make it work, I think the people would come without a doubt.
Yeah, I would totally agree with you. I mean, this is the area of the United States that could probably most benefit from having a indoor facility, because we don't have good weather a lot of the time. So, no, I'm with you. I'm not sure how to make it happen. We need somebody to make some power moves and put one in. And
Yeah, you need the accountants to get together and pencil it to figure out, how much is it going to cost to get a decent sized arena. And then, after that, it's just a math equation. How much, how many people do you think you would draw? How many days a week would you be open? What other events could you cater to draw in for when you're not running bikes? I mean, it's, after that, it's just a math, accountant equation to figure out and plug the numbers in and make it work.
well, hey, if you got any ideas, I'm down for hearing some ideas sometime. But I would love to see it. I don't even care who runs it. Just we some indoor moto would be really nice right about now, as we're mid-February.
Yeah, I think the sentiment is very strong, especially because that's the kind of weather we've dealt with here, that we can get to places if we could get indoors and run it. I don't think getting it to it's the problem, because I know we had some pretty nasty weather when Clark County Arena Cross was open. But once you get there and you're inside riding, it's awesome.
Oh yeah, and people still came. I mean, they had no problems getting turnouts, getting people to show up and go ride, and the track prep. Yeah, once in a blue moon, that it would be a little chunky due to frozen ground, but overall, 10 times better than anything outside. So,
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. I mean, we just need to make it happen. Maybe we need to start a GoFundMe or something. I don't know, but I'm open to ideas on this one.
Yeah,
Uh,
I just, you think back to the old two-stroke days when the fumes, used to fill up an arena and they'd have to stop for a while to let the, air get fanned out or whatever. And now you think most of the, at least all the big bikes for the most part are four-strokes, where they, you don't have that same smoke issue, or it's not nearly as powerful as it was when majority of people were on two-strokes. So, there's just, there's a few things to look at there to make it more fan-friendly. But, man, I wish it could happen.
Hey, I'm with you on that. So, I'm with you on it. I'm just not really sure how to pull it off or how to make it happen. The problem is, there's a lot of horse arenas out there, but not a lot of the horse arena managers want to work with dirt bikers.
Yeah, that they just really don't have a much understanding for our crowd. And, unfortunately for us, that leaves us out, in the cold and the mud. And, there's just some of us, maybe don't want to take that chance. Physically, maybe you don't want to ride in conditions like that because you can't afford to get hurt. So there's a lot of factors that go in why some people don't ride, in the wintertime here when the tracks are somewhat less than ideal.
Yeah, but it's really unfortunate that a lot of these people who manage these, let's say fair facilities that are all throughout, well, the United States, they're originally built for one thing. Let's say it's a horse arena. They don't think outside of the box in working with motocrossers, because we're still somehow labeled as often like the Hell's Angel dangerous type thing. And we're going to leave grease and oil and gasoline and bolts and chunks of metal everywhere. I'm sure if we were able to get a facility, we'll take care of it. And actually, this was proven, Clark County Fairgrounds. It was pretty well proven. I thought it was taken care of very well by originally Elaine Derrick was the one who ran it for 10 plus years. And, in the last couple of years after that, it was that when it was OT5, they took care of it. We're not leaving piles of oil and gas everywhere. It's built up into a track and then it's dozed down flat, returned back to pretty much its original state. But I think they have a preconceived notion that's not fully accurate. That's my opinion.
Yeah, and I just recently it got announced that in Elma they're going to have a big flat track race. I think in March, and that's predominantly a rodeo arena, a horse arena there at the fairgrounds. We've watched country concerts there in that same facility, and so now they're going to have a big flat track race there, and I'm sure it's going to be just a huge event, and a lot of people will go to it because indoors, so it doesn't matter if it's going to be raining sideways outside. You got indoors, so that it's neat to see that at least it's happening somewhere here in the state of Washington.
Yes, and I appreciate the facilities that are willing to at least kind of work with you, because I don't think we are anywhere near what the preconceived notion of a motocross or a motorcycle racer is. It's mostly a family sport by a lot of people who are looking to have a good time with their families and are more than willing to, take care of a facility if they get to go enjoy it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just think they need to. I don't really have an answer of how we could, get that across to people, because I think it's just kind of engraved in a lot of people's heads what a motorcycle racer is, and I don't think it's accurate. Would you? Wouldn't you agree? Motocross is it's a family sport. Like, we're not a bunch of wild, crazy. Okay, there's a couple here and there, but like wild, crazy gang member bikers. I'd say most motocross racers are people who are either self-employed. I see a lot of construction workers, and they like to go out with their wife and their kids, race multiple classes, and take their motorhome and trailer and go out and do some moto. It's actually a very I think it's one of the most family sports out there, if anything, because everyone's involved. Everyone can do it.
Yeah, everyone. It's not like you're going to take your 5 or 6-year-old kid golfing with you.
Yeah, exactly.
But you can take him to the motocross track, and for the most part, he's going to ride on the same track that you get to ride on. If you and mom and your sister and your cousin want to ride, you can all ride the same event on the same day. And so, I know in the past they've had the bad rap. There's always in every group there's a few apples that kind of cause issues, and that gets all the attention, of course. But I definitely is a family atmosphere when you're at the track, and especially when you're at the track for like a weekend event, and you got the people hanging around having dinner together with other families and sitting around a campfire, or chit chatting, and if you're actually at the events and see what they are, I think it gives a different feeling than people that just spouse off, that don't ever go to the events or know what it's about.
I would totally agree, and I wish I had a good idea or like a good concept on a way to convey the message of what us motocross racers really are to the general public, because it's always interesting to talk to people who've never been around moto, or don't really know much about it. What they, the preconceived notion of what they think we are, it can be kind of wild sometimes. It's like, no. It's like, that's not what we are. It's not what the community is. You've been watching too much TV.
Yeah.
It's not what that is. So, and I think that's one of the things holding us back from getting into facilities that we could run like arena cross in is, especially if we get, I don't know what it is, but motocrossers and horse people apparently have beef and oftentimes don't get along. I don't understand it, but they don't always get along. Would you agree or disagree?
Yeah, and you don't want to point the finger at any one group. It's just, you know, I
Oh
wish
yeah, no,
we could come together. I mean,
no
the
finger
Clark
pointing for
County
me.
facility, I worked for both Elaine and then I worked for OT5. And, it was 6 of the coldest weeks of the winter, but we were happy for those 6 weeks. And, we'd give anything to get those 6 weeks back. I don't think it's like there's something else that they could have ran during the dead of winter that, would get a lot of attendance. But, you certainly had a lot of attendance there on race nights and then, the practices throughout the week. It just, for 6 weeks, the coldest part of winter, it was awesome to have that outlet, to go over there on Tuesday nights and ride the vet practice or be there on Wednesday nights when the kids rode. And it's healthy. You're out exercising. You're not sitting at home. So I wish we could somehow meet in the middle and figure out how we could appease all the taxpayers in Clark County.
I think it would be positive, it would be healthy, it would be good for the community, not just the moto community, but the general community as well. Because I know Clark County Fairgrounds has sat just empty and unused many, many, many weekends. So, and that's just one facility. There's those kind of fairground facilities all over the place.
Yeah.
And, I've reached out in the past and I get shut down pretty aggressively. And it's disappointing. And so if there was a way we could convey our message and to kind of just show them what motocross is really about, I think there's a lot of opportunity there. Wherever that may be, I'm not just talking about my immediate favorite, which is Clark County Fairgrounds, because from where I'm recording right now, it's a 7-minute drive to go there, which was very nice and convenient when they were running. But for any place around the Northwest, we don't have really indoor motocross right now.
Nope.
No, and this is fun. We didn't even talk about this. This is fun. This is actually a big subject for me. I would love to see 10 of these places going and just running some stuff, because the more we open up, and this is how I view really racing as a promoter too. I don't mind competition. Actually, I enjoy it because I believe the more options you have is going to translate into the more people in the sport that you have. If there's only one BMX track in Washington, you're not going to have a lot of BMX racers. If you have 30 tracks, you now have options, and you now have more BMX racers. So I'm all for actually having more events, more tracks, because that in the end is going to create more riders. And I think if they work together a little bit and cultivate some ideas of how to get people into it, they will all benefit. So I want to see some more of these things open up. I want to see some more events, and it's just kind of a tough go to get going, But I want
it's tough to get over that first hurdle and get the 2 different sides or 3 different sides or whatever it is involved to maybe widen their view and be more open to using some of these state facilities, county facilities. I mean, if we could find someone in the private sector, that would be just absolutely fantastic, because then you wouldn't run into a lot of those hurdles. And
Agreed.
Hopefully that's something in the future, that can happen.
Maybe we just need to put a cover over Mountain View. Just put a big cover over the top of it. Hey,
That'd be a big cover, but it'd sure be cool, wouldn't it?
well, Dan Dale over at Riverdale a couple years ago was talking about doing that to his upper arena cross track.
Uh-huh.
Actually, just putting a cover, like no sides, just like a roof over that, and that that's doable. That's a more compact track, but still slightly expensive. Mountain View might be a little much. Okay, that was a stretch, but
Yeah, that might cost a few more shekels than most anybody has.
yeah, but wouldn't that be nice? I would have a lot of
Oh,
fun.
absolutely.
Mountain View year round, I would be a happy camper. But yeah, that might be a bit too much. But you could do it at like the upper arena cross track or one of these more compact tracks. PIR might be a little big, but one of those tracks that utilizes almost all the dirt to just for the track, like yeah, it's it's within the realm of conversation to maybe do it. You don't need sides, you just need kind of a top, really.
Yeah.
Washugal's out of the question. Too big.
Unless they built a standalone arena somewhere up there on the many acres that they have, and that would also give them the benefit of never having to cancel a regular summer series event due to weather. They could just move it over to the arena, and depending on what the weather was outside of the arena, you could maybe make an extended track in or out of one end or one side of it, or there's a lot of options once you have a dirt area that's covered that isn't just getting hammered by the weather. I wish I could win the lottery and make it happen.
We need someone to win the lottery so we can get some of the stuff going, because that would be awesome. And yet, Washougal, they have all the property in the world, and I know they've talked about all sorts of different ideas. Like, there's the room, there's space there to do it. So yeah, and same can be said about Riverdale. Maybe I don't know what it would take, but it would be rad. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think it could be done. Hopefully, it will be done while I'm still riding. I realize I'm kind of at the backside of still riding, but for future generations, it would be really for kids coming up, and it would just be cool to have a facility like that, where you can ride in the wintertime, like the kids in Florida.
Maybe we just need to move to Florida. I don't know. They got alligators there too, man. Like there's some benefits.
Gators and snakes.
Yeah, snakes are a downside. I'm down for a gator. I don't know about a snake though. Well, hey, dude, we've gone almost an hour. I told you like 15 minutes. We've gone almost an hour. You got me all sidetracked and motivated now to start calling up some local fairgrounds tomorrow. But so when we'll end on this. What's your next event you got planned that you're gonna maybe make a showing at or come out, either ride, announce, or anything? What do you got? Anything planned, or are you just kind of playing it by ear right now?
Well, in 3 weeks, March 5 and 6, it's the first PRO race over at Horn Rapids Pacific Racing Organization. And, I'm on staff for PRO, and I work for Ted over there. And that's, usually if the weather cooperates even halfway, that's usually a pretty big event because it's the first one coming out. And we do have it on the east side, hoping to get that better weather window. So I'm looking forward to that event, and then things start opening up once we hit that March time frame for some of the other series as well.
Okay.
And you still got your Riverdale series going on for people that want to be riding right now. So
yeah, we got Riverdale and Woodland going for us around
Woodland
here.
going.
Yeah, Riverdale. When's our next? Oh, our next round is this weekend. So yeah, it's been a little wet, but we can get some people out there. So what are you going to be doing with the PRO this year? Are you a starter? Or what were you? I'm trying to remember. I've seen you work a few different jobs out at the track, kind of like me.
Yeah, kind of the jack of all trades for Ted. Mostly I run over on the starting area, but when Trip needs some help in the tower, I can run up there and help announce a few motos. I've worked in the help with sign up a little bit. It's going to be kind of an interesting year. We lost some of our key people, as you did, with folks moving out of state that worked on staff. So just kind of pitch in and help wherever. I've helped hang banners up. And so I'm thankful that we do get to have outdoor motocross and that we can kind of get back to it. And at least for the weekend, you can kind of feel like things are somewhat back to normal.
Oh, I am totally with you on that. I will probably not make it out there. I haven't been my work schedule has been pretty crazy, and so if it's not my own event, I really have not been going to it over the past close to 12 months. And I haven't really been riding. I had a few health issues, so I'm probably going to be on a bike here in the next couple weeks, but personally, I haven't really been riding or racing too much. I would like to make a few of the PRO rounds, though, and come race them. They're always a lot of fun, and what was it, 2018? I believe I was the announcer for Ted Series, and it's fun. I like what he does, and I like the work that he puts into it. It's a lot of fun. And you bring up Trip, which gets me thinking that it would actually be a fun podcast once I get the new studio all set up. Just throwing this out there. Maybe around the Washougal, let's see. There's a round at Washougal, right? Or is it just the Top Gun this year?
June 5 and 6.
So June. So maybe June, you, me, and Trip podcast?
That'd be fun. Trip's a really cool guy. I mean, he used to be in the radio industry, DJing, and he's got a wealth of knowledge and brings a whole different, aspect of it. So he'd be a great guy to have.
I've been trying for over a year to get him on, but he lives, over 6 hours away from me. Hanging out with Trip is thoroughly entertaining to me. I never know what's going to come out of his mouth. It takes a lot when I'm in the mode and I'm ready to go. It takes a lot for me to really be thrown off, and he can consistently do it. I was changing at Top Gun 2 years ago, changing out of my gear, and he, out of nowhere, I hear over the PA system that, like, man, I gotta say, Justin Wharton, even when he's out riding, his cologne game is on point and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what? And I look over and he's like 15 feet away. He snuck up on me and like, dude, what are you... I didn't know what to say, but he walks around with that wireless mic everywhere, and he's just there just talking about my cologne as I'm changing out of my riding pants.
Yeah, Trip's a solid guy, and he's I love the perspective that he brings, and
he makes it fun.
He definitely does. It's fun to be doing events with him, and same with Joey. Joey brings his flair.
And, we can throw him as number 4.
Yeah, I mean, you could really have you run out of microphones, but it would sure be fun.
Okay, let me look at my amp. Hang on. Okay, so I can take 6 microphones in this amp, and
there you go.
I have 6 microphones. I don't know if I have enough stands, but I have plenty of time to go buy some. I'm down for that because Joey has his own unique sense of humor, and I never know what's going to come out of his mouth, and yeah, he's fun to talk to. So, by all means, yeah, we can have like the announcers of the Northwest kind of podcast.
Yeah, we get Paul Watts in there from PIR.
Oh, jeez, we're gonna be up all night though. I forgot about why. Yeah, I have not had Paul on. I've known Paul for 20 years.
Yeah, Paul's a great guy. I worked with him 1 year up at Washougal, and it was a really a fun year up there working with him because we would bounce off each other and do stuff. We had theme songs for different people. It was a lot of fun working with Paul, and I get to work with him some at PIR, and he's just a great guy, and he's another fun to hang around.
Yeah, and yeah, he would be fun. He has that flair. He makes things fun. Yeah, he would. Paul would be a good guy to get on there. I might have to start cultivating this idea, like a announcers of the Northwest kind of podcast. We might go on way too long into the night, but it could be fun. You bring on some of the.
It could be fun.
You bring on some of the best talkers of Northwest Moto, and yeah, we could be up all night, but I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and hey, there's no line at the snack shack.
Well, yeah. I would love to have Brian on. I just, I don't know how. Like, I've checked in with him here and there. Brian Barnes he's the gold standard, and I love the guy to death. But he's been having some health issues the past few years, and if he ever feels up for it, I told him he has an open invite. I just don't know if he's going to take it. But if he ever does feel up,
if you had Brian on, that probably would break your podcast or the internet or whatever.
It would break the internet, yeah. I told him he has an open invite. The first race I ever announced, he actually was the guy who gave me pointers. And the only reason I even did it, I think, is he had to go grab a burger. And I had a microphone in my hand, no idea how to talk. And it took 4 or 5 years before I even halfway considered myself able to do more than one moto. But he was there, and he actually gave me my first pointers. And as he went and grabbed his burger, he always got to have his moto burger. And Brian is one of those guys that I always wish him the absolute best. So he has an open invite to whenever he wants to come on. He could come on to anything he wants. He's been a solid character. He's been a solid dude to be with, and I just don't know if he really wants to or if he's up for it. But if he did, that would break the internet.
Oh yeah, it would be so cool.
Yeah, I would really enjoy that if he did. But yeah, we'll see. If not, man, you, me, Trip, Joey. I mean, is there anyone we're missing around here? Oh, Paul. I'm sorry, Paul. Forgot about Paul.
Paul, yeah.
5. That's 5. I can handle 5. We'd have to start early because I'm guarantee you this is going to go late. Okay, we'll talk about this some more privately, but any sponsor plugs or shout-outs you want to do before I let you go, man?
Well, I know, for me, helping me personally, I do want to give a shout-out to Recluse Clutch over in Boise, Idaho. They helped me out kind of when Four Strokes first came on the scene. And, my first call when I get a new bike is over to Charles over there. And, they send me a new clutch and cover. And, I get to test on it and ride on it and give them feedback. And so I've always, appreciated that product. Probably the coolest thing to happen to a dirt bike since radiators. Bell helmets, fly racing gear. Definitely a shout out to PRO and Mashugo MX. It's always fun to be involved on the staff side and see races from the inside, and just to see how much effort and expense is put into putting on an event week in and week out. I think it would surprise a lot of people to know how much expense it takes just to put on these events.
Yeah, a bit. Just a little bit.
And just for all the people that are going to post it every week on Facebook, there's plenty of graphic companies in the Northwest. JJW Design happens to be the graphics that grace my Kawasaki, and I'm very happy with the work I get. And you know what? It's not like some company off in Timbuktu that won't sell you just part of the graphic kit when you get into a crash or scrub something. And so put in a shameless plug for you and the rest of the graphics companies here in the Northwest.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, man. It is kind of funny how many posts are made about graphics every single week. I think
Yeah,
it's the most popular topic.
it seems to be, yeah.
And I try not to plug too much because, for example, the PNW motocross page, I'm a moderator on there. So I don't want to seem like I'm taking advantage or anything. So I mostly just make jokes and stuff about it. But it is a little funny that is probably the hottest topic week in, week out is, where do I get graphics?
Oh, yeah, guaranteed. I mean, yeah. So,
Yeah.
and, I guess I give a shout out to Power Motorsports, Dave Sibley, Matt Williams down there. Man, I've known Matt Williams since he was on in '85, so we go back a few years with some of the crew down there, and so I've always been, happy with, relationships with motorcycle dealerships that I've, gotten bikes from through the years, and I've gotten bikes from a lot of them here in the Northwest, from Hillsboro Motorcycles, Town Center, Yamaha, Kawasaki down in Oregon City when they were running, and Paulson's up in Lacey, Pro Caliber when Elaine was there, and so the shops that support motocross racing in the Northwest are fantastic, and supporting any one of them is a good thing in my book.
Wow, Elaine at Pro Caliber, that is a throwback.
Well, I go back a few years.
That's going back a couple, not yet, but not bad, just a couple years. But no, that's awesome. I'm sorry.
When I got into the sport, Jeremy McGrath was at Washougal on a 125, so that's about how long I've been involved in the sport. So
yeah, I wasn't very
not
old.
as long as some people that remember the DeCoster area and all that, but that was kind of when I got in, was about 90, 91, 92 time frame.
Yeah, I was not very old back then.
You're a young whippersnapper.
Hey, I've been working in this industry a while, though. I gotta say, for my age, I think I'm setting some pretty good records for how long I've worked, because I was writing for Cycle News when I was 12 years old, and I was lying about my age to my editor because I was too young to legally write for them as a contractor, so by like 6 years.
Awesome. Awesome.
So I've been in this for a while, but yeah, I guess I'm still relatively young. I'm in my 30s, but it's funny to say I'm in my 30s and I've been, doing I've been doing vinyl decals for 20 years. So it's kind of funny to think about, but at least I can say my interests haven't changed. I still love dirt bikes, so I've liked the same thing the whole time. Dirt bikes are fun, man. Racing is fun.
Dirt bikes are fun.
Dirt bikes are fun. Racing is fun. Going to the track is a good time. So I don't really want to. I don't want to change that. I'm just gonna keep doing my thing, and maybe mix it up like I started a podcast a couple years ago. And I am going to get you in studio, and I really feel bad that we've had some stuff come up, but I appreciate you at least doing a phone on with me when we get the studio rolling properly. I'd like to get you in, and we can talk some more, maybe about your history and how you got into riding and racing. But for
Looking
now,
forward to it.
Yeah, for
Looking
now,
forward to it.
I appreciate you taking at least a over the phone interview. And once we get a few things patched up, I'll get you in the studio and we can chat some more. And then when we have this super promoter / announcer / podcast sesh, you're gonna be in on it.
Yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be absolutely fun.
Oh, I think it'd be a blast. So, but yeah, I'll let you go, Curtis. I appreciate it, man, and we'll catch up here pretty soon.
Thanks a lot, Justin.
All right. Well, thank you, sir, and you have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.